I wouldn't have done any better.
Now, again, this is a testament to the power of that deck for me to play it at the level that I was playing it, and still come out that well.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely got a lot of neat interactions, and the humility, the early humility was really what kept you in that game.
Yes.
And there we go with the hooded Kenny Mayer.
Kenny Mayer pretending he has Jace in his deck, but really he does not.
Yeah, trying to bluff the Jace, and that's on the left we have Kassis. I believe that is how you pronounce his name. And he's rocking this kind of interesting kind of. It's a Team America-ish, counterbalance-ish, Phyrexian, Dreadnought, Stifling. You know, it's got a number of synergies here.
Now, to be fair, we could say that Kenny Mayer is rocking the Elspeth. Elspeth does occasionally wear a hood.
That's true, yeah. He may be trying to impersonate Elspeth because he is running.
He's running two Elspeth, yeah. Thumbs up from Kenny. Kenny goes turn 1, Sensei's Divining Top. Off of a Bayou. It's usually a signal for junk. Island from Eli Kassis, not getting up very much. Eli. Something from Eli. I can't tell what that is. It's both foil and alternate art, whatever it is.
Yeah, I'm trying to tell what it is.
Yeah. Thoughtseize from Kenny. Shows Trinket Mage, Force of Will, Brainstorm, Source of Plowshares, Tundra, Wasteland.
It's a Stifle? Okay. So the card that we couldn't identify was I think a Judge promo Stifle. Stifle. Judge Rashad.
Stifle?
So.
Looks like I hit a Verdant Catacombs before.
Wasteland on Eli's side.
And no land for Kenny Mayer. A third land there for Ellie. Bob, the Dark Confidant.
Yeah, this is looking
pretty grim.
Little grim. Yeah, there's a land. Okay, there's a land for Kenny. Kenny can top, which seems like the good player here.
Just trying to find some land to get back in this game.
Right on.
Primarily looking for one of two cards, either Source to Plowshares to kill that Dark Confidant, or a Dark Confidant of his own so that he can keep up with it. Remember, there is a Force of Will in Ellie's hand.
So Eli just revealed a Brainstorm off of his Confidant, so paid a life, or lost a life there from that. And a Counterbalance comes down for Eli.
Oh boy, that's rough.
And that's gonna really be difficult for Kenny to fight through, although Eli does not have Divining Top at the moment.
So this is perhaps Team Counter Dreadcogs.
Yeah, that sounds accurate. So reveal off of the Confidant, shows a polluted Delta, I believe, and draws for the turn. Eli goes in with Bob. Meanwhile, Kenny just has the is that a Bayou and a Wasteland. The Delta comes into play.
Trinket Mage. Running the original Trinket. Getting a Sensei's Divining Top. Down comes the Trinket Mage. Sorry, the Trinket Mage fetched Sensei's Divining Top. Kenny does some topping of his own, looking for something.
Yeah, because once he's got Counterbalance top, online, it's going to be that much more difficult for Kenny to fight through anything.
Remember, there's a force of will still in Eli's hand.
Yeah.
Eli, whichever.
Ely. I like
Ely.
picture an eel.
He's very Ely.
He's a slippery one. Gotta use some mnemonic devices sometimes.
I'm a big fan of those. Vindicate. First, the sacrifice of a polluted delta, looking for whatever land he would choose, and then going to follow that up with a activation of the
Divine
top.
Yeah.
Remember that he has trinket mages in his deck, so while many decks can't really stop with a counterbalance, a Vindicate for very easily. There are trinket mages here.
Yeah.
Usually, it's just the click, Vendilion click, that can help out.
So instead, he went with Brainstorm.
Brainstorm instead. Puts 2 cards back. Reveals a trinket mage. Hey, scoopsy scoops, says
Yeah.
Kenny.
Nice black bordered underground sea there on Ely's side of the table. So that was a quick game one. Just shutting Kenny down really early, locking him out of the game.
There's a former Inquest editor Jeremy Smith there, our table judge.
Oh yeah. I was not aware of that. That's right. Knowing is some portion of the battle, I hear. That would be awesome.
Rashad is claiming there should be a Magic History channel so that people like Jeremy Smith will never be forgotten.
I may be able to get you a meeting at Discovery. That's where I work.
Now, as you well know,
The channel was a Discovery network, but it was
as you well know, the History Channel, besides showing history, also shows things about Bigfoot and UFOs. So.
So let's take a look at the sideboards here.
Okay. From Kenny Meyer's side, he's got Duress, which is going to be of value. And other than that, his Go for the Throat, Ethersworn Canis, Engineered Plague. Go for the Throat can take out Bob, can take out Trinket Mage, can't touch that Dreadnought. I don't know that it's a particularly powerful card in this matchup, with Bob being the only really target of note.
Mm-hmm. And he's already got Swords to Plowshares main, so...
yeah, Sword seems like the better call there. But the thing is his deck, he's got a lot of good weapons. Maybe he takes out the Elspeths to put in Duresses. On the other side of the table, Eli Kassis.
Ely, yeah.
He knows what he's playing against here. Engineered Explosives for 2 is usually very effective against junk. Enlightened Tutor is also a very effective card against hand disruption. You can use that in response to be able to fetch something of use. Now, unfortunately, the side effect of that is that it further reduces your hand size. But if you get something good, like say a counterbalance, that can be very problematic. I wouldn't be surprised to see either of those cards showing an appearance.
What about Chalice? Does that seem... No.
Chalice for 1 or 2 does shut down much of Kenny Meyer's deck, but at the same time shuts down much of Ely's deck.
Yeah. That's always the thing with Chalice. It's when you read, looking at that card, it seems like it's got its applications, but it being that it's going to affect both sides.
One card to think about is actually Extirpate, which essentially in this match, there are very few threats that Kenny is producing. If Ely is looking for a card, Extirpate's worth considering. It's not normally for a matchup like this, but if he feels like he's got some cards that are bad, he can always put that in there. I don't know that he has those cards that he wants to throw away in order to fit in a marginal card like Extirpate, but it is an option.
Yeah, things seem
He looks pretty well set game one.
Alright, so looks like is it Kenny taking a mulligan, or is he just shuffle? Both players are shuffling, so.
So there's a mention on Twitter of Griffin Valentine. It's Justin Treadway, the artist, magic artist, who was designed the Thraxamundar shirt you were wearing yesterday.
Yeah, also designed the shirt I'm wearing today.
Yeah.
The Nope shirt, the counterspell guy on it.
It's funny because when I hear the name Thraxamundar, I feel like that could be a metal band.
And I think that's what
Right?
everybody felt like. So it was like, it sounds like a metal band. So Justin designed what looks like a tour shirt.
Yeah.
On the back it has dates, and it says "Ride the Lightning."
Ride the Lightning. That's excellent. Justin,
Very,
clever
very awesome.
man.
Yeah. The tour dates are all like places in Alara, Jund and Grixis kind of references on the back. So Kenny leads off with a marsh flats into a bayou. And a Sensei's Divining Top. Nice way to start things off. Ely wastelands away the bayou. And Kenny goes to turn 2. Looks like he does not miss the land drop here. Goes with I think it's a Verdant Catacombs. Saw it only briefly. And it's a second bayou for him. For those of you just joining us, I'm Joey Flasco here in the booth with Adrian Sullivan.
Hello.
We're in Boston for the StarCityGames.com Open Series. We're in round 3 of Legacy, and this is game 2. Ely Kassis versus Kenny Mayer. Ely took game 1 and is wastelanding his way through game 2 at the moment. That's all Ely's played so far is Wasteland, being on the draw here. Ely being on the draw, Kenny has managed to get a top into play and an activation of the top before losing not only 2 fetch lands, which searched up the bayous, but both of his bayous. And
It's pretty probable that Ely. Oh, jeez. I was gonna say it's pretty probable he might have a mana-heavy hand, and that top reveals a little bit more mana yet. So Kenny, if he does not have land in his hand, he's not out of land in his deck. Away it goes.
Yeah, that's a lot of stone rains. But yeah, it was that Sensei's Divining Top on turn 1 that's keeping Kenny from still in the game.
Yeah, he's not crippled.
Yeah, not at all. I mean, really, he's not any more crippled than Ely is. In fact, he's got a better board position right now than Ely. And here we
End
go.
of the turn.
Spin the top.
What do we got? I think I see another land. I think I see a wasteland. Maybe he's going to return in kind.
Yeah.
Though to be fair, Ely has stifles.
That's true. Yeah.
Stifles can make that an unfortunate set of events.
And there it is, wasteland for Kenny.
Says go. Plays more conservatively
Ely
here.
goes
Very
for a
reasonable.
Brainstorm, which may give Kenny an opening to destroy that Underground Sea with the wasteland and not have to worry about Stifle. And there it goes, yep.
While he's tapped out, makes the play. Playing around the Stifle.
So Ely has a PCI foil something.
Foil land. I will play it safe.
Yeah, what is it? Is it a Judge fetch? That's what I thought. It looked like Flooded Strand, but it's such a... Okay, so we're gonna assume it's a Judge foil Flooded Strand.
Here we go for the play. A Dark Confidant. Will Bob make it?
Kenny plays a Caracas to get that Bob into play, and Bob plus top is also a good combo. Not quite as awesome as Counterbalance top, but it's still pretty strong. And Ely cracks the fetch and gets a Swords to
Plowshares.
Yes.
Come on in there.
Swords to Plowshares. STP, Stone Temple Pilots. taking out the Dark Confidant.
Old times, old school. There's a looks like another underground. Top v top. It's a top war.
I trump your top with my foil top. It does the same thing. So
Upkeep top.
spin the top.
Wasteland.
Another Wasteland. Both of these guys. Now we've seen 3 Wastelands from Ely
Says
and
go.
2 from Kenny. So
Now you see Ely not activating the top. He doesn't want to tap out. Not at that moment. Kenny going for the possible activation during upkeep.
yeah.
Just trying to potentially eat up that mana.
And
Oh, there's a stifle?
There's a stifle. Yeah.
Oh, how
That
devastating.
was exactly what you were saying before, and Kenny played around the stifle last time with his Wasteland. This time did not, and that gives an opening for Ely to then play a Brainstorm.
Now, if Kenny has excess mana, that's not a big deal. You know, throwing away a land for,
Right, for
a
a stifle.
spell.
Right.
But if he doesn't, I mean, that can just really compound. Remember, Ely has already used 3 Wastelands, so Kenny's mana is probably going to be stable for what he has on the board from here on in.
Very true. And, oh, that was actually during Ely's turn. I thought that was at the end of Kenny's turn. So now it is Kenny's turn after Ely spends his turn stifling a Wasteland and brainstorming. And there's a 4th Wasteland, or I'm sorry, it's a 6th Wasteland for the game. A 3rd for Kenny. Takes out the Tundra on Ely's side of the board. And Kenny then flips his top. For an Inquisition of Fozolek. She spell snares at another Stifle, Brainstorm, and Bob. So, what do you take? What do you think?
I like getting rid of that Bob.
That's what I would say too.
Now, he might not get rid of the Bob because he might have access to a swords or something like
Right.
that in order to take care of it. But there's that Force of Will there sitting around, and unless he's got another discard right in his hand right now, I don't like the idea of going swords your Bob, having it Force of Will, and having the Bob take the game away.
Yeah,
Unless he's got like 2 swords in his hand.
it's possible.
And then actually it's a really nice trap. Swords the Bob, you force it, that's 2 more cards.
Yeah.
Swords the Bob.
Yeah, that would really be good for Kenny. But it looks like he took the Stifle. Does that look right to you? From what I can tell, the top part of his graveyard, I'm pretty sure
It did look like a stifle.
That's the Stifle.
The crazy Judge
Yeah,
promo
Judge
stifle.
Stifle. And Kenny fetches.
Vindicate for that land would be pretty exciting.
Yeah, I wonder if that's where he's headed. There it is.
Boom!
And is he going to force? Maybe he's going to brainstorm.
If he's got land available, there's not necessarily a reason to force that.
That's true. But does he have land available? We just saw his hand. I don't remember seeing any land in it. I see what I believe is a counterbalance. Well, I guess we're just going to find out.
Puts 2 back.
He's going to
Force a Will.
and remove a
Goodbye,
Trinket
Trinket
Mage.
Mage. Go. Go back. Another Vindicate. Vindicate that land.
Vindicate land. It's going to activate the top this time. Rashad suggesting we have a total
How much?
Running tally of the value of the lands being destroyed in this game.
Wasteland is a $60 card, says Rashad. Wow, I used to have like 40 of those cards. Yeah, and Rashad says that's $40, $60.
Yeah, that's how you tally things up, right? Ely trying to decide what to do here. All right, so he's finished with the top, and Vindicate is still on the stack. Kenny,
Go ahead.
I was just saying, Kenny waiting for it to find out if it resolves, and it doesn't. The Force of Will removes a spell snare, and the Vindicate goes to the graveyard. So, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, I was thinking about it, winning Pro Tours. There was a time where you'd win $560, but according to the Rashad count.
In the meantime, Ely has now resolved Counterbalance and has Counterbalance top online.
His hand is all but emptied out by the Force of Wills that he's been using, but to good effect, getting rid of, stopping, pardon me, the Vindicates from tearing up his land. Counterbalance
he does
not reveal, doesn't want to even show it. He knows what's there.
Yeah.
He says, "Let me see that yard. How many land do you have in there?" This is going to be a very big Knight of the Reliquary. Go for the throat, maybe. Bob
will.
Oh, now we can see the Knight of Reliquary go to work.
Yeah, this is Kibler's favorite card, and we'll get to see. I'm sure we'll get to see some of the reasons why that is. Speaking of Kibler, I just saw an update from him on Twitter. He played against Zoo and played poorly and lost 2-1. So that puts his record at 2-1. Maybe he actually, that's what he's saying. He says played bad and lost 2-1. So maybe he didn't actually lose, or maybe he didn't even actually win a game in that match. But
looks like a Wasteland.
That is the 4th Wasteland from Kenny Mayer. And there's Elspeth.
So not sided out.
Ely on the blind reveal gets a Thoughtseize. So Elspeth resolves just fine. And he
to the air
with the Knight of the Reliquary and in for quite a chunk.
Boom.
I believe there are at least, I want to say 5 lands in Kenny's graveyard. He's fetched multiple times. I'm sorry. He's got to have
something. I couldn't see it. It was too quick. And then a draw. Got a 2 life.
That Knight is huge. Yeah, I was going to say that Knight has to be close to 10/10, and then being the +3/+3. Because I think he lost. He's had 3 of his own wastelands, at least 2 or 3 fetch lands, and plus the 3 lands that Ely destroyed.
He goes for an upkeep to destroy the Tundra. Ely looks with Sensei's Divining Top. Activates the top.
Swords on the
that guy right there. Kenny, seemingly pretending like he could sacrifice a land to save his guy. It's possible, but if you look at his list, no. He does not have the means to tap and save with his Knight of the Reliquary. There is a possibility of a last activation before he goes out.
Right,
but he just lets it go.
What's your record?
3-0.
3-0?
I got a game left. Again.
Edgar Flores 3-0 in Legacy and has apparently cast ace. You're playing Callblade in Legacy. Edgar Flores playing Callblade in Legacy. Gotta love it.
Okay, Kenny Meyer at 2 life. A Sensei's Divining Top on top of his library, meaning he's at effectively 1 life.
I want to see that Callblade list. He just plays standard Callblade. And there's a soldier.
God, this is a pretty terrible position to be in. He says go once again.
Yeah, I don't know.
Not sure why he would hang on. To the air.
What does Ely even have here?
Duress?
Well, we're going to find out what he has.
He just wants to see. He's like, no, I don't want you to see anymore.
Yeah, I'm going to counter your Duress by scooping. It's a free counter spell. Look at Kenny at 31 life at the end of that game.
Now, we basically saw what this deck is capable of doing. And also, perhaps, one of the reasons why I think of it much more like a rock deck than a junk deck, even though we've been calling it junk for quite a long time now. What it basically was doing was it didn't put down a clock at all so much as it just tore up the opponent's other side of the board. Now, meanwhile, Ely Kassis, he was also tearing back of his own with his stifles and his wastelands. But in the end, Kenny just came out on top. His Bob came down first, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
It was eventually removed, but it did do a smidge of work before before Ely's Bob came down. But by then, a Knight of the Reliquary was in play. Huge. Elspeth takes it to the air, knocks Ely down to 2 life, and now we're on to game 3.
Yeah, I think really what happened is that Kenny resolved that turn 1 Sensei's Divining Top, and that kept him in the... basically, it kept Ely's Wasteland from being as effective, because Ely was wasting every one of Kenny's land drops, but Kenny was able to ensure that he could continue to follow up and hit pretty much every land drop after that, so... I think it's hilarious that Edgar is playing Callblade in Legacy. And I really wonder what kind of what that looks like. So for anyone just joining us, I'm Joey Pasco here with Adrian Sullivan.
Hello.
We're on day 2 of the StarCityGames.com Open Series in Boston. We're in the midst of round 3 right now, watching Ely Kassis and Kenny Meyer go to game 3. Ely is playing an interesting kind of amalgamation of maybe a Team America kind of countertop list. I mean, he's got Trinket Mages, got Dark Confidant, he's got a Phyrexian Dreadnought and some Stifles. He's got the counterbalance and top combo in there. So it's a pretty disruptive looking list, control list. He's got 2 Jace in there. Kenny is playing a junk list, which you were saying is maybe more of a rock style.
Well, I mean, the archetype has been settled as a name with junk for quite a while, right? And I don't mind that so much because junk was one of my old deck lists from a trillion years ago. But this list feels a lot more like rock to me. Junk and Taxes actually feels more junkish to me than this junk list and the junk lists that kind of come out of that Brian Kowal based tradition. Brian Kowal building essentially this list, the same one that Brian Kibler is currently playing, giving it to Brad Nelson. Brad Nelson taking it to really shine at Grand Prix Columbus just recently. Now the other list, I mean, perhaps people out there in the Twitterverse can help us. Maybe there is an archetype name for this. It's Trinket Mages, Dark Confidants, a single Phyrexian Dreadnought. It has a counterbalance package. It has a stifle package. So, I mean, it's obviously not Dread Still because it does not have the still of the Dread Still. This reminds me a little bit of a deck that was played quite a long time ago by, I want to say, oh gosh, he's a Wisconsin player who I should remember his name. 1 second.
While you're thinking, Ely played a turn 1 Polluted Delta, and Kenny played a turn 1 Thoughtseize, seeing Swamp Spell Snare, Engineered Explosives, Trinket Mage, Swords to Plowshares, and Force of Will.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of a deck that Tommy Collowith played a while back, but I don't remember the components of it.
And he takes the Spell Snare. It's Dark Mage Counter Stifle. And we have a Swamp from Ely. It looks like he's about to crack that fetch land. Looks like he's thinking better of it, and yeah, passes the turn. So, Kenny draws for the turn. Thinks about what land to play, I think, and it's a second scrub land there. And is that what is that? I'm having trouble.
Hymn to Turok?
Oh, you know, that's not the Hymn to Turok art that I have. That's why.
That's the Drew Tucker art.
I have the one that's kind of an overhead shot of the people standing in a circle.
Yeah,
I love that.
The chanting circle.
Yeah.
That's actually, those are my two favorite ones, is the chanting circle, Hymn to Turok, and the...
Quentin Hoover.
And is that Quentin Hoover?
No, that one's
Tucker.
Not. Quentin Hoover is another one. I recognize that one too. It's this one's the one that I always miss. So, Hymn to Turok hits Engineered Explosives and Trinket Mage.
That hand, it looks like a new. Is that a new Swords to Plowshares, or like? Sorry,
That's the Elspeth versus Tezzeret Swords to Plowshares.
Okay. Yeah, I don't recognize that art as much. There are so many different sets now when it comes to
and the promos
weird
and
promos.
Things, right? It kind of makes things a little bit confusing. And you know, looking at Hymn to Turok, there's the one with the Howling Wolf, the one that we mentioned with the circle of chanters. There's the Quentin Hoover version. And then Scott Kirshner is the one that was just played, which is the one that I've just seen, I think, the least of. So it's Sensei's Divining Top and a Knight of the Reliquary for Kenny. And Ely is looking like
he's going to get rid of that.
On the back foot here, but Force of Will help. Ely empty-handed.
Empty-handed, doesn't know what the top of his library is.
No top for him.
Go.
And Kenny activates his top. So there is no Drew Tucker version of Hymn to Turok, by the way.
Oh, okay.
But this is, the art style's not that far off. Drew Tucker's very interesting artist. Alright, so flips his top to get a Tarmogoyf into play. Passes the turn to Ely, who draws and considers something, plays in Underground Sea.
Yep. A couple of the people on the Twitterverse are telling me that we can call Ely's deck Stifle Knot, which is basically Dreadstill minus the Standstill. That's from Lord Foz, but that's echoed by several other people.
One Dreadnought.
Yeah, only one Dreadnought. So,
and in with a Tarmogoyf.
I kind of like Team Not Cogs. Balance.
So, another activation of the Divining Top. Ely under pressure from that Tarmogoyf. It really amazes me sometimes when I think about the fact that Tarmogoyf seems to have been gone from Standard play for so long, and now he's not even in Extended. And it was just a few years ago that he was printed, you know?
Just a few years ago.
It feels like just a few years ago.
Nearly a decade ago.
It's not nearly a decade. 2007.
I
if we were to go back 4 years, Tarmogoyf would not have yet been printed. He would have been about to be printed, but 4 years ago, Future Sight was just about to be released. It doesn't seem like that long ago. So there's consuming vapors. That will help things considerably, because not only does it get rid of that Tarmogoyf, it prevents Kenny from wanting to play anything else. Not that that's even as relevant, but it gets Ely's life back. All that life, that chunk of life that Ely had lost. It's back up to 19.
About the only creature that Kenny might even want to consider putting into play is, I don't know, something that I can't even. I was trying to come up with something clever, but I got nothing.
I believe I saw Vindicate within the top 3 there from
Wasteland.
Kenny. The Wasteland will knock Ely back down.
Consumes, targeting something.
Yeah,
not relevant.
Nothing happening there. Ely plays a land and passes the turn.
Top. Looks like I think I see a Thoughtseize on top.
Wasteland.
Stifle. Ooh. On top. Draws. Knight of the
Reliquary. So Ely again empty-handed, but at least did not lose his land there. Kenny happy to throw away a Wasteland really for that Stifle though. Maybe not happy, but not so sad about it.
Knight of the Reliquary.
Yeah,
there's the top again.
That Wasteland just pumps the Knight, so still worth it, really. That top is taking over this game. I mean, it's really, again, Kenny with the turn 1 resolved top.
Gets rid of a land. Is he going to get the Mazabeth? Wasteland to waste things out more?
Yep.
Wasteland it is. Underground Sea is in play. Looks like a scrub land and 2 islands. No, island and a swamp.
Yeah. It's a nice John Avon swamp there, I think. I think that's the originally Saga art. May have been reprinted.
Activate the top. Looking for some new cards. I see a Vindicate there.
Yeah, I knew that Vindicate was floating around up there somewhere, and I wonder, Kenny's... I mean, the fact that Ely only has lands in play, Kenny's happy to just keep wastelanding. But in this case...
He's got to Vindicate this hand.
Oh, wow. So he says, I'm going to wasteland.
One of these basics. Probably the islands. Take the islands out.
Looking a little grim for Ely, who now has only 2 cards in his hand, and one of which is I think that's the Flooded Strand again.
Upkeep. There's a Vindicate on top. Kenny just draws it. One. Activate the Knight. Goodbye, lands. Getting a Wasteland.
How many Wastelands is that? I think that's what Ely's thinking right now. How many Wastelands have you already played?
Here it comes, Wasteland hitting a Underground Sea.
Waste your sea.
Uses the mana from the Sensei's Divining, or from the sacrificed land to activate Sensei's Divining Top.
And he flips the top, gets a Bob. Really, really putting Eli under some pressure. Ely has to not only find an answer now to, what is that, a Curse Scroll? Curse Scroll from Ely. That's relevant here. That'll answer Bob. Won't answer Knight, but will answer Bob. That's only if he can keep 3 mana in play. Right now he's just got 2.
If you ever get an opportunity and you are in the vicinity of the artist for Curse Scroll, D. Alexander Gregory.
That's one of my favorite. Yeah,
I highly recommend, if you're able to, go out, Have some fun on the town with him. He's a good guy.
I've never met him, but I love that artwork, and it's that artwork that really made me like his art. That's the first one that I really noticed that was his and really liked it. So Vindicate for Ely's remaining land, and there it is. Kenny just keeping Ely off of any sort of game in that one. The Sensei's Divining Top won that game. It was like a one-mana Jace in a way. I mean, it really seemed to be